Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are we doing on this fine Sunday morning? It's Sunday, Cass.
It's Sunday. You're so right.
It's
Listen,
Sunday.
I forgot that yesterday was Saturday. And so the urge to finish this book was very low, and then I was like, wait, it's Saturday.
Saturday.
I should get on that.
It was a long read. This one was definitely a long read.
Long read. Absolutely. My goodness. But we're here and now.
We are here. Holes in this thing? Got like 2 holes in this thing.
Yeah, I see them now that you pointed them out.
Don't look at that, guys. It's embarrassing. But hello, everybody.
You know, I have a very pressing question.
Yes.
How was your birthday yesterday?
Oh, it was lovely, honestly. I had such a nice day.
Yeah?
We went to lunch and then we came home, and my family were big trivia players. We play a lot of trivia, but like I'm not very good at trivia, so it always makes me really mad. But we have this like trivia game that has like cards that are dedicated to one topic. So I made us do all of the book questions. We just did like a whole trivia game of book questions. I won both rounds, as I should. I get stomped in every other single like trivia game we play, but I got the book questions on lock.
That sounds fun.
And then, yeah, so that was really nice. And then I took a walk with my mom, and we went to get some pumpkins for the front porch.
Love.
So it was just a very nice day.
Solid. Yeah. Wonderful. How does it feel to be a whole year older?
It feels no different.
Fair.
I feel like I just, another year to vibe.
Another year to vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe
I also played
the last stream. I can't believe this is the last stream.
I know. Like, I'm sad. I'm a little ready for Wyverns and Words to be over because it will be nice to not have like another book that I have to read every month. But I've also had such a nice time talking with everybody over like the last 2 years that it is really sad that it's over.
Crazy. Crazy. At least we ended things off with an absolute bang.
Yeah.
The bang being the 700-page novel that we made everyone read.
That is definitely a bang. Is this the longest book that we've read for the book club?
I think Name of the Wind was longer. No, that wasn't longer because that was only like,
let me see,
600? Maybe 750. What are their long books? Because Warbreaker's nowhere near this length. It might be.
I'll look at Goodreads instead.
I think so. Was Well of Ascension longer, or was Hero of Ages longer?
No, I don't know.
I don't remember.
This says that The Name of the Wind is 662 pages. Hope you guys enjoy the quiet while me and Cass try and figure this out.
Trying to figure out what's in the back of the book. Oh, there's summaries of the previous books in the back of the book.
There are?
Yeah. It's right after the what's it called? Glossary?
Oh. Wow.
Bro, that's so nice.
I never knew that. That's crazy.
Wow.
If we weren't reading them like once a month, like back to back, that would have been very helpful.
Right? I just think it's so funny that this summary is like 2, 3, 4, 5 pages long.
I know. Like, that checks out for sure, but
like you could do a paragraph.
Only Brandon Sanderson. Actually, no, I'm sure there are definitely other authors that would require that much.
Probably. I am going to... Oh, my phone's on the ground. Hang on. I was going to post... Oh my gosh, it was like slightly out of reach. I was gonna post in the Discord.
Did he scored?
The Discord. Cause did we announce this live show?
We announced it on YouTube. Both of us did.
Oh, okay. Because I think I forgot to put it in the Discord because I usually do.
We'll give people a few more minutes to come and join and whatnot. We usually chat for a while anyway, so.
Chitter chatter. I'm like looking for the stream and I forget that it's like on my channel.
Yeah.
Why is it not popping up?
Well, while Cass is doing that, how's everybody doing in the chat? We have one message, guys. Come on. Come interact. We don't bite. Well, I don't speak for Cass, but I don't. Had the super cute mug from Joann's yesterday. It's insulated, so now hopefully my Diet Coke will stay nice and cool for many, many hours. Ooh, I just like shut it and it sprayed Diet Coke on my face. Keep it cool for many hours.
Especially if you splash it onto yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was refreshing. It was nice and cold, I must say.
Oh my goodness. All right, there we go.
How have you been recently, Cass?
Tired.
That makes sense.
It is a busy week for me. I spent a very long day at the airport yesterday. I left my house at like 11 in the morning and I didn't get to Texas until 9 p.m.
Oh.
It was a long day.
Yeah, it was gross.
Yeah. But it's fine. It's fine. I get to see Katie in a few days.
I'm so excited.
I am very
Be a nice late birthday present to me.
Just my presence is enough.
In my area. We're gonna do some fun stuff. I can't wait.
It's gonna be a delight. We're gonna have so much fun.
We're gonna do so many fall things.
So many fall things.
Yeah. I cannot wait.
I only know one. Oh, I guess 2 fall things we're doing.
Because we're gonna do some pumpkin carving. I feel like the Ren Fair is kind of fall.
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Lexi texted me and said it was gonna be like, I can't remember if it's 75 degrees or 85 degrees.
It better be 75 degrees. I'm not going if it's 85. I'm kidding. Of course I'm going. But I don't think it's supposed to be that hot.
75.
Okay.
Forecasted 75.
Good. I'll still probably complain about how hot it is. I'll try not to.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I got my whole outfit picked out. I'm excited. I just don't know what shoes to wear.
I have my Ren Fair boots that I wear at every single Ren Fair because then they just stay dirty and I just let them be. But they're like not quite knee-high boots, but they got like some little fuzzy bits on them. So they can be like a pirate boot. They can be just like a standard
medieval boot. See, I have like a pair of Doc Martens that I could wear, like the normal boots, or I have Doc Marten sandals that I could also wear, which I'm leaning towards because like those don't matter if they get dirty because I just hose them down.
Hose them down.
But I need something black because my corset's black, so it's gotta match. Yeah. Anybody else have any fun plans coming up?
Especially with it officially being fall now.
Yeah. If you're in Australia, I'm sorry. RIP, you had fall 6 months ago. I was very jealous at the time.
Right. That's, I think, what you need to do is you need to live here for 6 months and then go over to Australia for 6 months.
Literally.
And it could be perpetually fall and winter.
Could you imagine? I'd be living. That would be the happiest I've ever been. I always get seasonal depression like spring. So I think that would be a good way to combat it.
Absolutely.
So my birthday's on the 2nd, and I'm turning 17. Well, happy early birthday.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Got there first. Libra babies unite. Where are you, Cass? What's your zodiac sign?
Pisces.
A Pisces. Nice fish. That checks out.
You would say that regardless of what I said. Although that is my favorite response to get, because I think it's so funny. It's like, oh yeah, that checks out.
No, see, I know nothing about astrology. I only know that like Libras are supposed to be indecisive. Very true, very true. But I don't know anything about like what being a Pisces means necessarily.
All I've been told is that they're emotional, and I'm like, that checks out.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I'm kidding.
No, I don't think you're that
All
emotional.
right, 10 minutes has passed. It's time to move on and talk about
Right.
book.
Last chat. Hero of Ages.
Last chat.
What did everybody
Hero
rate it?
of Ages. What did we give our star ratings here? I was looking through a Discord and I saw quite a few people were like, yeah, I'm not even halfway through the book, or like I didn't finish the book, and it's like fair.
It's a long one. Like it doesn't even like look that crazy, but like 700 pages.
Kind of wild. Did you annotate that one?
This is from, I like just put tabs in it the first time I read it. I read it on audio this time around.
Solid.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a 5, we got a 4. What did you rate it?
I gave it a 4 the first time I read it. I might consider giving it a 3.75 this time around.
Blasphemy.
I'm sorry. Like the Well of Ascension in this book, they just don't hit the same as the first one.
Honestly, now that I've done a reread, I have to agree with you on that. Yeah. Like the last 2 books don't hit as hard. I still loved it, but I did not enjoy it as much as my first read because I knew a lot of the plot points, and I think this series leans heavily, like, yes, the characters are phenomenal, but also leans heavy on the build-up and the plot reveals and the plot twists. And so when you know what's going to happen, trudging your way through this book is just like slightly more difficult.
It's just very long, and you also get like a lot more POVs in this book, and some of them I'm like, I don't want to hear from you again.
Ooh,
talking about Spook. I do not like Spook's POVs.
Really?
I really don't. Like, he's an interesting character, and the whole like the thing where he has like really intense, I forgot what it's called, but like he has to wear like the blindfold because it's just everything's heightened, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like that. But I don't know, just something about his POV I don't enjoy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's fair. I never really like minded Spook's perspective. I do wish we got more of Marsha's perspective, because we only got like 1 page at a time with his POV, which makes sense because he was like possessed by Ruin the entire time. But still, like, he's such an interesting character, and that was such like a depressing story arc for him to go through, yet so satisfying at the same time.
No, like there's a line towards the end of the book where it was like he'd given up everything like for the fall of the final empire, and now this is where it's landed him. And like something about that sentence, I was like, that hits hard, because like he has given up probably the most out of like everybody, because Kelsier's dead, but Marsh is turned into a monster now, fighting against the people he was once fighting for, and that's just incredibly depressing.
Well, also being aware of it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of the other Inquisitors, they didn't have the willpower to struggle against Ruin, while Marsh had that small pocket of himself that he, kept to himself. So he was aware of the things he was doing, aware of how horrible the things he was doing were, yet he couldn't stop himself from doing those things. So I think, it's one of like the most depressing. And then Vin almost got him, almost ended his misery.
Honestly, I forgot about like her not killing Marsh.
Yeah.
I got to that point, I was like, he's so dead. Like she just took on like 20 Inquisitors or something. Marsh is out of here. And there was like, she vanished or whatever. I was like, what do you mean she vanished? There's so many like things about the end of it, like the ending of this book specifically, that like I just didn't remember. Yeah. I was like, this is new information to me.
I always remembered like the most random small detail, like how that one girl's name, it starts with a B, the citizen's sister.
Is her name Beldra?
Yeah, something like that. I remembered that she was the one who was using Allomancy and not the citizen. And that's such a random detail to remember when there's big chunks that I didn't remember. But that I was like, wait a minute.
No, I didn't remember that either. See, even though there were a lot of plot points that were new to me this time around as well, I still didn't like it as much as the other ones.
I mean, book one just starts off so strong, and the action is so heavy throughout it that, I mean, this, like, the next two books are literally, I don't know, just diving more into the magic system and slowly revealing more about the world. And that, I feel like, is what it like primarily focuses on versus like the actions and the characters. Like, yes, we get character development. We get Sazed going through it the entire book.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like the coolest part of this book was learning about the magic and how everything worked. But again, the book was so long. I focused on that for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I like the slow kind of drip of information that you get as you go throughout the series about the magic system and how it like just keeps getting like bigger and bigger and grander and like it gets crazy. But I wish, we learned things maybe a little bit closer together, although the pacing like with learning stuff is also cool, I guess, because you get to kind of like, chew on it for a little bit. Then you get a little bit more, then you can like think about it for a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's just something about this book that seems very slow.
I found Well of Ascension to be slower than Hero of Ages. I feel like Well of Ascension was just like this the entire time into the last like 100 pages, and then the action absolutely ramped up. Well, this book had more like spikes of potential action or like major conflict and a lot of plans failing. So I will say, like, I feel like Brandon Sanderson is the one author that like never lets their characters' plans go through.
No.
Because I feel like many books, if characters are thwarted, it's like, well, plan B will work. They were on like plan F, I swear, by the time this book ended.
I like that struggle though, because it makes things, very unattainable and you never really know what's going to happen. You're like, well, I have no faith that this next plan will work, but let's try it again anyway.
Yeah, and the stakes just being so high because he's not afraid to shy away from actually making his characters go through it.
The stakes in this book, insane, because it's just like the absolute end of the world. Just something like crazy to fight against.
Absolutely. Yeah, the scale and like the scope of what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, kudos to them for even attempting.
Because, I mean, it's not even like the big, like, guy that you've been fighting against the whole time is going to, like, take over the world. Like, no. It's just done. Like, Ruin, he's getting what he wants. We're all gone.
That is true. That, like, most, villains, like, their goal is to take over the world and to shape it to their liking. And Ruin is just such an interesting villain because he doesn't care about all that. He just wants to destroy everything.
Which is, that's just his nature. Ruin's doing as Ruin does.
Just be like that.
Just be like that sometimes.
Oh my goodness.
But I really like the introduction of like Ruin and preservation in this book. And I think it kind of like that whole thing kind of ties into a lot of other things that are in the Cosmere as well. And I think I enjoyed those parts a lot more now that I've read more books in the Cosmere, and I feel like it makes more sense to me this time around, at least. Even though I don't, love this book, I really appreciated more parts of it now that I know more about things in the Cosmere. So it was a valuable reread, at least.
Piecing together the puzzle pieces that Brandon Sanderson has formed. I will say with this trilogy, it's so impressive how much planning and foresight and like connecting of the dots that he did. Like Brandon Sanderson is the master of being able to like connect everything. And my dad, he's reading the series. He started Well of Ascension. Very happy about that. Nice. But he asked me if this was originally planned as a trilogy. And I'm like, yes. Like the pieces that he laid out in the Final Empire, some of them don't even come to fruition until the Hero of Ages.
Literally like the end of the book.
So satisfying.
Yeah, it's crazy because like nothing is there just because. Like it's always coming back. There's always a reason for it. Even if it's like last page of the last book, he's like, you forgot about this? Joke's on you. It's not the key to figuring this whole thing out.
Literally.
Like the whole bit with Vin's earring, I love so much, and I definitely
Oh.
remember that from the first time around. The fact
Mhm.
that that's why Ruin was able to like, you know, be in her head the whole time. The first time around reading that, I was like, "You're joking!" Like that's so cool.
My mind was blown.
No, literally, and even this time around, I was like, "Man, you just gotta sit back and appreciate. Like that's cool as hell."
Absolutely, especially because we get the reveal that anything pierced by metal, like, can be manipulated. But even when I read it the first time, I didn't piece together that Vin's earring would, like, count. So you're, like, told, and you're like, "Oh, well, anyone pierced by metal can't be trusted because they can be manipulated." So we get, like, the obvious ones where Marsh is, like, stabbing everyone with spikes,
Yeah,
like,
like what could he
Ron and all
possibly
of
be
them.
doing?
Right? But then when it's revealed about the earring, it's like, "Oh my gosh, we got that pages ago." And yet it was such a subtle and consistent thing throughout the series that didn't really think anything of it.
Yeah, I just love it so much. And like when
Because
you
it's a
finally put
small
together,
thing.
no, literally, like all the times, or when you finally put together that like all the times she interacted with the mist was when she didn't have her earring, and you just feel so dumb. You're like, that's so like you're so right. Like so true. I
I'm
just
like,
love it.
"I see that."
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing there. Like that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Good
Sorry.
stuff. Now, you look like you were about to say something.
I was about to start talking smack, honestly.
Oh, go right ahead.
I don't like the ending of this book. I still don't think I like the ending of this book. Actually, I think I greatly dislike the ending of this book.
What aspect of it?
I don't like the fact that Sazed at the end just like becomes Harmony, like he becomes, Ruin and Preservation, just like fixes the whole world. I'm like,
Mhm.
what do you mean he just fixes the whole world? Because like he knew what it looked like. I don't know, like it just seems so easy. At the end, it's like, oh yeah, Vin and Ellen died, which like I don't mind that. I think the main characters dying in this series checks out. I feel like it makes a lot of sense. They were a part of something so much bigger than themselves, and if they had come out of it unscathed, it would have been like, then I really would have liked it.
Okay.
But Sazed just like coming in at the end and fixing everything, I don't enjoy. Like I
Interesting.
get it in the grand scheme of things. I think it makes sense, especially because of like the emphasis that is put on religion, especially with Sazed. And now that
Mhm.
he's like found something that he believes in, now that he's like very aware of the Khandra and like the religion that like they follow and whatever. But it just seems too easy at the end of the series.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I understand where you're coming from, like, the conclusion. Like, I like it and I hate it at the same time. I just can't think of any other way that you could have wrapped up a book where the world was ending unless you, like,
Yeah.
fixed the world that was in, like, immediate peril. Like, everyone was about to die, so you needed kind of an immediate fix for that. I think it makes sense because he had both powers, and I think he was the only one ever to wield both powers. Like you said, became Harmony, and with his backlog of religion and all of his knowledge, like it makes sense. But I also understand why you wouldn't like it, where it was kind of like too easy.
Like conceptually, I like the whole like, oh, ruin and preservation coming together. You can't have the good without the bad, whatever, like general overarching theme. But I still don't like it.
Would you have? What am I trying to say?
Yeah.
Would you have enjoyed it if Ruin and Preservation didn't die and instead kind of united to bring the world back together? Because they had previous knowledge, because they are gods.
See, I don't know if I would have liked that either because I feel like that would have been really cheesy. I don't know what I want with the ending of this book. Like, I'm not a writer. I don't know. I'm just here to give you my opinion. But I don't know, like what it represents, I like, but just it seems too easy, like at the very end of the book.
I guess that makes sense. But also, everything came together. Like, all of his knowledge, all of these religions, like, it makes sense.
Yeah, but it just seems like so quick at the end of the book. It's like the last couple of pages, like, oh yeah,
Okay,
like
yeah, I
grass
guess
is
that's
now
fair,
green.
especially with how epic the journey is throughout for, like,
Yeah.
the massive issue being solved in an instant. I guess I do see where you're coming from.
I guess I kind of wish there was like a slower build to like the word, like the what does it sound like, Scadrial or something, like becoming normal again. Because it's just like he fixed it in the blink of an eye. We're all good, but I'm like, why don't we like let the grass grow in its own time? Let the trees come up when they want to. Like I feel like it should be a slower build to everything getting back to how it used to be instead of it just being like fixed
instantaneously.
Yeah.
But I think with that, then like everything that Vin did and everything that what was his name? Rashik did to like try to fix the world. Like the second that Vin, she didn't really become preservation, but like sucked in all the mists and sort of became preservation.
Yeah,
and like had to immediately fix things. Like it makes sense because it was established earlier that Rashek and Vin could immediately start like fixing and changing things, except for Says could do the same thing, except for has that knowledge of how to fix everything. So I don't know.
I feel like it's all just like it all makes sense, but I think it's just like personal preference whether or not you enjoy. That's how
I do see where you're coming from. Yeah. How do we feel about kind of the humanization and the empathy shown for Lord Ruler at the end?
I think it's very interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know, because he's such an awful person.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what makes it so interesting that you kind of get those reveals about him.
It almost made him like a better villain in book one when you think back of all the decisions he was making, like in his own way. I mean, most villains are justified in what they're doing. Like they have their own personal justifications. But I think on like that massive scale, it was like you really didn't know what he was doing behind the scenes. And he did do good things to try to preserve what was left of the world. But he also did a lot of horrible things.
Yeah.
But in his mind, I think he was just keeping that peace and keeping that balance and trying not to, have anyone in the world that could release ruin.
Yeah, I think it's really well plotted, the fact that you like learn this stuff at the end, because you go throughout the entirety of the series, you're like, oh yeah, the Lord Ruler sucks. We hate him. And then at the end of the Hero of Ages, you're like, oh well, like I still kind of hate him, but like a little bit less at least.
Yeah, like he was awful, but also
I feel like it makes you want to reread the Final Empire to kind of see it with that new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I already want to reread the Final Empire.
I think if I ever reread this series again, it'll probably just be the first book.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it needs a couple more years before I reread the entire series again. I gotta forget a couple more details.
No, I think maybe I just, like, read it too close together, honestly. Like, a year and a half, a decent chunk of time, but maybe not decent enough, you know? Like, there are so many other Brandon Sanderson books that I would, like, rather reread at this point than he is, I guess.
It makes me sad though, because I've been saying up until this point, I'm like, Mistborn's my favorite. I loved it so much. Oh my gosh, everything about it. And then when I reread it, I was like, oh, it kind of lost that magic that it had the first time where everything was new.
No, like sometimes rereading your favorite books is not a good idea. You're kind of like, yeah, it's okay.
Okay, but Final Empire still holds up.
It does. Like my reread of Final Empire was so much better the second time around. Like I was having the time of my life. But like these, I think my ratings went down for them slightly. Not by much, but like slightly. Because objectively, they are really good. And like when I sit back and think about them, I'm like, yeah, these are books that I really like.
Yeah.
But like just comparing it to the first one, I guess, you're just like, damn, it's so much worse.
Yeah.
Not worse. I don't want to say worse, but just not as good.
The experience is very different on a reread.
Yeah.
Yeah. My ratings went down too, not by like too much, because I rated all of them 5 stars, and now it's more like Will of Ascension is more like a 4, Hero of Ages like a 4.25. So it didn't like significantly drop, but they're no longer like 5 stars. First book, absolutely. I would still recommend the series as a whole.
Oh yeah.
Especially for first-time readers. And I think, like you said, you got to appreciate bits of the Cosmere because you've read much more of Brandon Sanderson's works. I'm getting there slowly.
Yeah. I feel like once you read Stormlight, all of them, you'll kind of look at this in a slightly different way. It's not something like crazy, but there are just like things that connect a little more. And you're like, huh, some food for thought there. Yeah, it's cool. I like it a lot.
I am excited to get. I mean, I've been saying that for how long, but I do want to read Stormlight by the end of the year. It's getting close to the end of the year, and I haven't even read book 2. But
we've got like 2 months before Wind and Truth comes out.
2 months, really?
Almost. It comes out on the 8th of December, I think, or the 6th. Maybe the 6th.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, I'm probably not going to read Wind and Truth until like January because I like to have a 1,000-page plus book read every year. I've already read one this year, so I'm going to save it for next year.
Strategy. Maybe that'll give me some time and we can buddy read it together.
That'll be fun.
That would be fun.
I'll probably wait for you, depending on when you read them.
Depending on how long it takes me to finish Stormlight,
yeah.
Well, the audiobook came in the other day, and I pushed it back by 2 weeks. So hopefully it'll come in 2 weeks because I would love to start it in one of my vlogs because that's what's really holding me back because I really want to vlog it and I don't have time to vlog it right now.
Maybe you should just give up on your idea of vlogging it.
I'm sorry?
Maybe you should just give up on your idea of vlogging it so you can enjoy it.
I know, but I like going back and seeing my thoughts on the first book.
Yeah, I can't lie. I do love my Stormlight vlogs, even though my first one's kind of crap.
Your first one's iconic. Thank you very much.
No, it's not. I'm like, all right, guys, I'm on page 200. I like it. Moving on to another update. All right, guys, I'm on page 650. So good. Don't say anything else about it. And then I move on to another update.
But those were the days. That's how the reading vlogs used to be.
Those were the days of the 20-minute reading vlogs. I could never.
You now talk for 20 minutes in one update.
Mm-hmm. I like yapping.
And he says, this is why I don't reread favorite books. Like, I get it, but also I could never.
See, like, sometimes, like, it's like Russian roulette, you know? Like, sometimes the reread experience is just like, oh my god, it's so good. It's even better the second time around. You're like, absolutely, this is why this is a favorite book. And then sometimes it's like, oh, what? Like, what happened?
Yep.
Which I haven't had that experience a lot, but I've definitely had it. I mean, I never considered the second 2 books of Mistborn to be favorites anyway. I feel like every time I talk about Mistborn, I'm like, the first one.
the first one is so good.
The first one. But, you know.
Do you think with Stormlight, it kind of keeps its consistency of being good throughout the series so far?
This is my personal opinion. I think the first 2 books in Stormlight are like god tier books. They're so good. This 3rd and the 4th, I think they feel like 1,000-page books. They're like 1,200 page books. They're a little bit slower. They follow characters that I don't love quite as much as the ones that you follow in the first 2. But the wealth of information that you get in those books is insane. Especially like on a first read, you're just like, what's going on? But in the best possible way. So that kind of maintains their appeal for me.
Okay.
They're all great. I think I only give the first 2 5 stars. I don't think I rated the second 2. I think I stopped rating things by then. So they're just.
I've heard a lot of people say Oathbringer is their favorite, which is not something I thought I would hear. Because I remember you said that the second book was the best, and the third book was like, nah.
That's because the second book is the best. I'll die on that hill. There's one scene in Words of Radiance that I think about all the time. It's so good. I'll tell you about it when you read it.
When I get around to doing it. I'm excited though. I ended up buying the US, like the floppy.
Oh.
Those covers have grown on me so much, and I don't know why. I think I've just seen them on your shelf enough to be like, actually, those look pretty dope. I want copies.
No, like the art style, like the cover artist for them, I think his name's like Michael Whalen, maybe. So stunning, so beautiful. I love the colors. I love the illustration style. They look so good on the shelf.
I just really want the satisfaction of reading like an 1,000-page book in one go, because reading like the UK covers where it's like split into 2, it was not as satisfying. Because I finished like part 1 and I was like, cool. Okay, part 2.
Time for part 2.
I was like, damn.
Yeah. No, like being like 870 pages into your book, you're just like, oh man, this is great. Like this is crazy. Look at all this progress.
Yeah.
And then you realize you still have like 400 pages to go. It's a unique experience that you need to experience.
It's gonna happen this fall.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. In between I really want to do a reread of the Kingkiller Chronicles, because those are just like, they're so fall. It needs to happen. But I'm like, do I need to put like 3 almost 1,000-page books on my fall TBR? Do I need to be doing that?
You could.
I could.
Who's gonna stop you?
Myself.
Yourself, yeah.
It's the only thing standing in my way.
Yeah.
Anyway, circling back to, of course, the Hero of Ages,
Right,
do we have anything else we would like to say on that front? I think we covered most of it. Again, it's hard to discuss these books because of the plethora of things that happen. But I think we covered like the main things, the main points.
See, overall,
or forever hold your peace.
I will speak. Overall, who's your favorite character in the series?
Vin.
Vin
forever and always. I adore her character arc. I love that we got to see her from a 16-year-old to being 21.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like true character development in her learning to trust people. I love her relationship with Ellen. I think it's just so sweet and so pure. Just the unquestionable trust that Ellen has in Vin. And that almost helps her trust herself, trust her instincts, trust other people as well. God, I just love their love. It's just, it starts out so like teenage romance, and then they develop into these young adults who have the weight of the world on their shoulders, and yet they still find time to care for each other and the faith to love each other, even in these perilous times.
Perilous times.
She's such a badass too. I love it.
Damn.
What about you?
I was gonna say Vin, but I feel like you just said it all. I mean, she is one of my favorite female main characters of like any book.
Likewise.
Yeah. I mean, literally for like all the same reasons, like seeing her character development from her being like a, little 16-year-old to growing into like a woman. And also the fact that it's written by a man, but he does it like so well. I think it's just great.
And I love the internal battle of who she was always being kind of the forefront of her mind, where when she starts going to balls in the original, she feels guilty for going, but also it's like, okay, well, she's doing spy work, reconnaissance, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But then when she goes with Ellen and they finally dance, oh, I love it. I love those scenes so much. She has that internal struggle of, okay, well, I used to be this, street rat. I am this Mistborn, but I also love dresses and I love looking pretty and I love going to these things. And she realizes that she can be both, and that reckoning that she has within herself. I think that's beautiful. And I think it's a struggle that perhaps many people go through, not to that extreme, but it comes with growing up.
Yeah.
Like realizing that you can have pieces of your past self and also grow into a different person, and you're constantly changing, and that's like the beauty of life and growing up and changing and everything. So
yeah, no, I think the dichotomy in Vin's personality is, I love that so much, because she has those like feminine moments and she's allowed to have those feminine moments, but then she's like, a couple pages later beating an inquisitor to death like by headbutting him, and you're like
killing 20 of them. Yeah.
Literally. See, Vin might be my favorite character, but I also love Tensoon. I think Tensoon's such an interesting character as well. I really liked the parts where he was like in the Khandra prison, and you like got to see more of like the inner workings of what Khandra society is like.
Yeah.
Because it's very like, nobody really talks about it, nobody really knows anything about it because they're very cagey about it. But like actually being able to get a POV from inside that, I really enjoyed.
Absolutely. Brandon Sanderson is just such a master of his craft of world building, and just the different societies he has in all of his books and how unique and very different they are. Insane. Cause like, how do you come up with something like that?
Honestly, every time I read a fantasy book, I'm like, I could never. Like, I got doing this because like I could not.
Absolutely. But Tensoon, I love that he accepted that he does have a friendship with Vin, and he thinks it's so strange, and yet
But he's like, that's my girly. Ride or die
That's
for my
my girly. Love her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, his character arc was just so so satisfying.
Mhm.
Because I liked him from the start, because I think Kandra are just such interesting characters to begin with, so I found him so unique. But then when his friendship and the mutual respect that Vin and Tensoon started showing between each other, love it.
Mhm. All right, let's see. My final question for the live. Who's gonna read Era 2?
I'm gonna read it. I want some time to elapse before, because I think my problem previously is I didn't let enough time pass before I read Era 2, and I was still comparing it to that high of Era 1. But I do have plans to reread it because I never read the fourth book. Because I thought it was a trilogy, and I was like, oh, the fourth book is just optional. I don't know why. But
Well, obviously, I think you all should read Era 2.
she loves her Era 2.
I do love Era 2. Overall, like as a whole, I like Era 2 more than I like Era 1. You see, first Stormlight. Reading Stormlight first might be a good idea.
That might be my plan. If I get Stormlight. I love how many times I'll be like, yeah, I'll get to Stormlight.
I feel like you've been saying that for like 6 months. Like you read the Way of Kings, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to
yeah, but even before I read Way of Kings, it was like I'll get to Way of Kings. Like I'll get to Stormlight. I think after I finished Mistborn, I was like, yeah, I gotta read Stormlight now.
You'll get there and you'll love it.
I already read Era 2, but probably not going to reread it until after Wind and Truth comes out because I have too many other books to read. Fair.
Oh yeah, I'm certainly not rereading Era 2 like anytime soon because I read it like earlier this year. But I will give it a reread at some point in time in the next couple years.
Yeah.
I love the characters. They're great.
I need to give it a decent shot because when I read it previously, I was traveling a lot and I was reading it like 20 minutes on the train here and like 5 minutes on the train here, and it was just a very chaotic read.
Yeah.
Where I was just confused a lot of the time. So I think I need to give it a decent shot and not compare it to Era 1.
Yeah.
So did Brandon Sanderson ever say when he was trying to release Era 3?
I think Era 3, I don't think it's coming out like soon, but I think it's one of the next things he's working on.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be like super long too, like the books individually.
Oh god.
So, and I don't remember what the vibe of Era 3 is supposed to be.
Was it space opera?
I think space opera's Era 4.
He's gonna do an Era 4?
Yeah. I think Era 3 might be like somewhat modeled after the like kind of tech that we have now. Because like Era 2 is very like Industrial Revolution. So I think he's gonna kind of continue on with like the advancing technology.
Let's see. God.
See, don't quote me on this, but I think he said he's not gonna release Era 3 until all 3 of the books are done.
Hey, it says Sanderson plans to start Mistborn in Era 3 in 2025 and will write all 3 books before publishing. Mistborn may expand to 16 books total with a potential cyberpunk-style series along with other Cosmere. Honestly, the 16 books make sense because of the prominent number 16. I think that's
16%.
So cool, but also, my goodness.
But I want cyberpunk Mistborn so bad.
That would be so cool. It'll be so interesting though to see how, because obviously in Era 2 we got the advancement of like technology and how that interacts with allomancy. Yeah. But it's going to be really interesting when technology gets to a point where allomancy is almost not useless per se, but just interacting with everything so differently.
Yeah. I thought it was really
computer age with 1980 technology.
That's what I was thinking.
Ooh, the main character is planned. Where did it go? It's going to call the Ghost Blood trilogy.
Oh, that checks out.
Main character's planned as a terrace woman.
Oh, cool.
Brandon describes it as a sort of how nerd culture works on Scandril.
I love that. I'm really excited for that. Elantris 2 and 3 come first, I think. The man's writing Elantris 2 and 3. I know who he's writing.
SWAT team.
Wait, what?
It says Brandon had initially planned for the trilogy to feature an Alamancer SWAT team with a team of Alamancers hired to take out serial killers, but is now leaning more towards a spy thriller.
I want the SWAT team. Give me the SWAT team.
Brandon has interest in writing a cyberpunk Mistborn trilogy between Era 3 and 4.
Between it?
How Era 3 plays out.
That man's crazy.
He feels he has enough time to write more books before he gets too old.
So
and then there's going to be a 4th trilogy.
Oh my god.
And that's the space opera. He plans for each Era 4 book to be around the length of Stormlight.
That's crazy.
Wow. What's his next big project?
I know he has a new secret project coming out next year, but that's probably already done.
Knowing him, yeah.
I think maybe somebody said he's going to work on the second Elantris book. I think he's got his little, like, progress bars on his website.
Yeah. Stormlight 5, obviously. Stormlight RPG. That already came out. Secret Project 4. Okay. All I can find is the 2024 update, or 2023 update. I wonder how much time is going to elapse before he starts in the second era of Stormlight.
I think he said he's going to take like a decent, I was going to say a substantial break, but that probably means, like a couple of years for him.
It's like 6 months.
I'm a little scared of Stormlight second era though, because I love the characters in Era 1, and I think some of them are going to be a part of, did I say era? The first arc. I think some of them are going to be part of the second arc. But I'm also just scared of the end of Stormlight in general.
That's fair. But it's nice, well, for me, it's nice that I'm getting into the series, like, when the first arc is about to be complete. Because I can't imagine reading, like, Way of Kings and then having to wait.
No, like, I can't. I think when I started reading Stormlight, at least, like, I think all 4 of them were out, I think. I just took a really long time to read them.
Yeah. 1 a year.
You're
consistent.
I love waiting for new releases. I think it's so fun. Like, obviously, you're like, oh my god, I need to read this now. But, like, I love the anticipation. It's so fun.
The anticipation is sometimes the best part.
Yeah, like, just waiting for him to announce Stormlight 5. I think he announced it while I was reading Rhythm of War, like, earlier this year. I was like, Stormlight news while I'm reading the Stormlight book.
How perfect.
I know.
Yeah.
It was really fun. So.
Just an experience. Getting into Brandon Sanderson, truly.
Yeah. Well, have we exhausted all topics?
I think we have. Oh, Warbreaker 2 is going to come out.
Right. I don't know if I want Warbreaker 2.
I don't know either, but if he's going to write it, I'm going to read it.
Although I think it's called Nightblood, which does excite me.
Solid. I want to do a reread of Warbreaker because that was my first Brando Sando book, and I just want to experience it again.
Seeing the reading and anticipated release in the release month is fun too, because you're reading it and yap with other people. I love when like everybody's excited about a new release because like everybody's like, oh my god, like I just read this. I'm like, oh my god, no wait, I just read this.
Absolutely.
It's such a good feeling.
Absolutely. Well, this is it.
This is the very last Wyverns and Words ending for our live show.
Mm-hmm. We do have plans. We haven't like solidified them, but we want to do like not even like a reading. It might be like a reading sprint sort of thing, but just like chatting with everyone.
Yeah.
For people that didn't read the books, we can all have a proper send off and a sign off, saying farewell to Wyverns and Words. So
this won't be the end, but it's our last like book club discussion. So, but thank you all so much for being a part of Wyverns and Words, even if you've only been here for like a month, or if you've been here since the very beginning. Thanks for sticking around.
Thanks for listening to us yap.
Yeah, I love yapping. Me and Cass, professional yappers. Pro
All right.
yappers.
Well, hopefully we'll see you, I think sometime in October. We haven't confirmed anything. We'll get around to that. We'll announce it, but
We'll let you know.
we will let you know. Probably post it on the community tab on YouTube and in the Discord.
Oh yeah, you will be
We can yap some more.
Lots of yapping.
Lots of yapping. All right.
Yap City out here.
Yap City. All right, we're gonna go before we say
bye. Have a nice Sunday. Have a nice start to your week or end
so
your week.
much.
Bye.